Quote of the day: attachment is not the enemy. It's the mirror that shows you where your heart lives and where you fear to let go. So what we're going to be discussing today. So today we'll be discussing about attachments. The strengths, the weaknesses, attachments, relationships, all things like that, and what attachment forms. In terms of attachments, everyone has attachments. As human beings, we all have attachments. We form attachments with family, dreams, money, goals, or whatever your attachment is. In a sense, it gives us a purpose to live and wake up and do things in our life. And with this, it becomes strong bonds or creates strong bonds to give us meaning and carry us when we're low and when the highs are highs. And with this attachment, it's good. Attachment is good. Babies form attachments to parents, we form attachments to friends, partners, and all these things. So in terms of attachment, it's just a natural thing that we do. However, what I'll say with attachment is, attachment can be seen and there's another side to it. In a sense, it's like a double-edged sword. Because where certain attachments give you strength, certain attachments put chains and block or affect you negatively. Or there is repercussions or negative sides of attachment to certain things. And with this, it can make you lose your purpose, or it can make you entirely become a different purpose. And this attachment, or what your attachment you created, can lead to different outcomes in different situations. So what anime am I going to be covering today? So the anime I'll be covering today is Demon Slayer, and the character I'll be covering is Akaza. And if you haven't watched Demon Slayer, go watch the movie. I'm going to watch that today. However, the anime I'll be doing today is Demon Slayer and Akaza. I read the manga quite some time back, and I think Akaza is probably one of the best written characters in Demon Slayer. Muzan or Michael Jackson is useless. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil in terms of that, but in terms of Akaza, go watch it and come back to this video. Or if you haven't watched it, I'll just discuss and just explain to you why attachment can be linked to this character. I think Akaza is a character which is tragedy and the definition of attachment. So in terms of the small brief story or cover of his life is he was stealing, robbing, doing all sorts of things to take care of his father, get medication for his father. His father was sick. And doing so, he did crimes and doing whatever, and he was branded due to him being a criminal. His father found out, killed himself. And his father didn't want to have the burden of his son doing all these things to take care of him, so he killed himself. And so Akaza loses his mind, goes on a rampage, and then after that, he finds an individual, a father, who's an owner of a dojo, takes care of him, and in a sense, he has to take care of his daughter, the dojo's the individual that brought him in. So he takes him in, and Akaza builds a relationship with that daughter. And with that daughter, they build a relationship where he forms another attachment. It's an attachment of someone that sees him for who he is, and he's a caring person that just wants to take care of people. And doing so, he builds this attachment, takes care of her, does all things. In a sense, his life is looking good. Doesn't have to be a criminal. He might be the future successor of the dojo. Everything's looking well. However, those two individuals that he built attachments with were killed, poisoned. And after this, he goes back on a rampage, kills a lot of people, and then ends up becoming an upper immune due to the sheer strength and sheer skill that he does. He killed them with his bare hands. So in terms of him, he went on a rampage and did all these things due to the two purposes or attachments that he had were removed from his life, like his father. So in regards to why this character is such a fascinating character, is because his attachments that he built is to take care of people. And with attachments that we build with many people in our lives is that we have friends, family, and all these things. We also have, for example, my mother. She took care of me. She did great things for me. And in a sense, if we can relate it to our life, is I could have done certain things like sell drugs and do all those things. In terms of my parents or my mother wouldn't be proud of me for doing that. In terms of if I was successful in doing that, she wouldn't be proud of me. It's not something that you can be proud of, especially if my goal is to take care of her. So in terms of my back of my mind, I've always dreamt or imagined success without committing crimes. and that was just for myself. A lot of us go into life building attachments or doing certain things to benefit or do to take care of people. So in terms of Akaza, I don't think he's a bad person. He had to do what he had to do to take care of his father, as any person would. And all of us have the attachments with our parents who want to take care of them. However, is it worth it to do certain aspects like commit crimes, or for example be gangs, or do all these certain things? Is it really worth it if your parents know that you're doing all this to take care of them? It's a really interesting situation. As a person, as individuals who say that, it depends where you sit. You may say that no, it's not wrong, he's doing it with a purpose. However, it's two wrongs don't make it right, in a sense. And I think with Akaza, what it does show is that, in a sense, he forgot all his memories, and he forgot who he really was. And in his death, he gets to reunited with the people that he lost. And I think with these attachments, what I think is that with a lot of attachments we build and we lose, and we become different individuals that don't know anything about our lives, or we disregard everything that we will learn from these individuals, which may be good things, and we become these dark individuals because we've lost this attachment. And I think with attachments, I think there is, in a sense, it's like a ticking time bomb. If you lose something, you may become the person that you want to be. But I don't believe you should be too reliant on or building attachments, in a sense, to this manner. I think if with these attachments, it's about what you do and what you continue. I think with Akaza, what would have been a beautiful sense of what his potential could have been is he built new attachment, carried on their legacy of love, caring, and being the individual that they know him for, which was a caring, loving individual. However, due to him losing these form of attachments, or these attachments that he had nothing to live for, and he became a demon, killing people, doing all the things. And it's a cycle that continued. In terms of Akaza, I don't think, and it's obviously killing people was wrong. However, in terms of his story, it's in a sense, is it right or wrong? I can see both sides. However, I think it's a beautiful character that shows that we all build or form attachments with people, goals, and all these things. However, if these attachments or these things that we set out disappear, who are you then? Are you going to be an individual that's totally different to the person that you were? Or are you going to continue the legacy of what you were taught by these people or these goals? And I think that's an interesting thing. I think with attachments, I think you have to be careful with them. Attachments cannot be the sole purpose of you living your life. I think with attachments, it's something that is an added thing, and it's good to build attachments with friends. For example, if your friend got into a situation, died or whatever, are you going to go out to kill that person? Your purpose totally changes. However, when that person was in your life, you're probably the nicest person. It's in terms of like situations matter and everything, or circumstances do change, but it's understanding that these attachments that you build do have, in a sense, a dark side of it. And it's about realizing that there's a dark side to it. However, you can change or continue the legacy or thing that you learn from these attachments. I don't think you always have to be on the dark side and do all these things. And obviously, different situations happen. For example, your parents done so much for you. In a sense, you become reliant or become burdened to do this certain thing for your parents, which is understandable. However, doing crime, doing all these other things, is it really worth it to live or to continue their legacy in that sense? To take care of them from drug money, killing people, all these things? Not necessarily. I think in terms of why I like Akaza is because it's relatable in terms of a path that I could have went on, in terms of in order to take care of my parents or take care of my mother or repay her for all the great things she'd done. I could have went into crime or do certain things or shady things. And however, I decided in terms of myself, I decided to continue a path where I want them or my mother to be proud of what I achieve, due to be legal or due to be something that you can be proud of. In terms of your attachments, in a sense, are you going to be happy with this attachments that you've created, or when later on they see what you've done for them, are they going to be proud of you committing crimes, doing all these shady things, or doing these other things, or becoming the person you became to do that? No. I think in terms of your attachments are good. We all build beautiful attachments with friends, family, goals, and all these things. However, the real question I would say is that, are you willing to become a different person to achieve these attachments? Are you totally different to the people they know Or are you willing just to continue that journey and make them proud to you continue that journey, being the person that they know? It's going to take a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of circumstances and the attachments that we build that we feel that we're embedded. We have to do this. No, at the end of the day, it's your life. At the end of the day, you can do and be successful in your own way. And there's so many avenues and so many different things you can do. With your attachments, you can understand, and I think it's important to understand, there is a dark side to certain attachments. Maybe with your girlfriend or all these things, there's a dark side, and that attachment goes. Are you going to be a dark, scary individual that does all these things, or it's just not a nice person to be around with? Or are you going to be the person that or everyone that knows you to be, which is light, lovely, light-hearted, just a good individual? I think with Akaza, it's just a reflection of the other side of you being born on the other side, different attachments, and understanding that his only forms of attachment with those three individuals, and if you were to remove them, many of us would be in the same situation. So I'm not saying in terms of I'm on a moral higher ground. No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's important to look at the attachments that you create. Do they benefit the people around you? Is there something to be proud of? And if so, continue that journey. But if it's something that completely removes who you are and who everyone knows you to be, is it really worth it just to achieve or due to that attachment? No. And I think with Akaza and Wise, he's just a good character. It's just he shows you the other side, and another side that we all experience, or there's a dark side to it. However, it's about being resistant and continuing a journey with the path of being maybe a good-hearted person. I think being a good-hearted person can take you a long way. Obviously, I said in my last video, good people finish last, but that doesn't mean you need to forget your morals. The individual you are, that brings happiness to so many individuals. And I think what you can learn from Akaza is that attachments are good. However, there is a dark side to every attachment that you form.